Friends, enemies, assorted potted plants.
Pandemonium in the streets! What's going on?
Panic has overtaken the entire state of Illinois, from the northernmost parts of Chicago to the easternmost parts of St. Louis.
Why is this happening? The end is upon us!
Republicans, far-right pundits, and even officers of the law are giving dire warnings about the potential future of the state of Illinois.
Run away screaming!
I am not a lawyer, and this should not be construed or understood as legal advice, but my understanding is that reliable sources are saying,
The purge is real! It is happening now! The purge is real! We're all gonna die! Arson is legal. Kidnapping is legal. Robbery is legal. Murder is legal now! This is the end of all human civilization!
or at least that's what some far-right pundits and assorted hysterical citizens would have you believe. The truth, as it typically is much more mundane. Illinois House Bill 3653, better known as the Safety Law, eliminates cash bail. It does some other things, and we'll get into that, but the primary thing that people know and are all up in a tizzy about is that it eliminates cash bail and leaves detainment to the discretion of officers and judges. The primary thing, and the thing that people are complaining about in as overblown and hysterical a manner as possible, is the elimination of cash bail. Minor sidebar, if someone claims without so much as a hint or a twitch of irony or self-awareness that the purge is real, you can safely dismiss anything that they think they have to say of any importance. I would hope that I didn't need to say that out loud, but people seem to be taking this very seriously. But not everyone is saying that. And while everyone who is complaining about the safety law is engaging in overblown hysterics, not all of them are engaging in the same overblown hysterics. And I think that if we pay very close attention to what they're saying, we can tell what they're really worried about. Take this hysterical goddamn fucking nonsense, for example. This is not the most hysterical or nonsensical thing I have seen. People are literally claiming that the purge is real, let me remind you. But it is the thing that I have seen the most. And as of the recording of this video, it has been shared over 30,000 times on Facebook. And it needs to be stressed, every claim on this meme from a far-right website doing its damnedest to trick people into thinking that it's a local TV station, every claim here is wrong. Not just totally wrong, but I would argue maliciously wrong. And I would argue that it's maliciously wrong because the blog where this image originates from says that every claim on it is wrong. There's also a Twitter thread going over all of this at great length if you're interested in that, but full disclosure, I'm not interested in that. This hysterical goddamn fucking nonsense is not supposed to be factual. It is a statement of intent. It is fishing for marks, and I have spoken about that at great length before. And let me explain what I mean. There is a painfully obvious thing here that tells us who this is for. All of these things except one involve doing harm to someone, or threatening to do harm to someone, or the potential to do harm to someone, and the outlier, aggravated fleeing, is only a crime in the specific context of fleeing from a violent crime. The person who wrote this hysterical goddamn fucking nonsense is not panicking and does not want people to panic over double parking being made legal, or loitering being made legal, or writing a bad check being made legal. No, it's specifically things that endanger people's lives and health and well-being. And as I've said before, you can tell who people are trying to sell something to by how they sell it. This hysterical goddamn fucking nonsense is being sold to people who believe that they are under the threat of attack. Not people who are actually under attack, like trans people or people of color, but people who believe they are under the threat of attack. This is what someone wants to be afraid they are going to do. And right now, those people, the people who believe that they are under the most threat of attack, are people on the far right. Minor sidebar, this hysterical goddamn fucking nonsense was not written by anyone on the WFCN News website. This hysterical goddamn fucking nonsense was lifted directly from this hysterical goddamn fucking nonsense, which was published in the DuPage Policy Journal, which is described by the Illinois Press Association as a far-right propaganda outlet. Or maybe it was the West Cook News, which is mentioned in the same statement?
It's the same fucking story. It's the same fucking... This goes even further than this. I have a copy of this, the Sangamon Sun, that has the exact same story. The same story. It's the same fucking thing.
This is a rabbit hole I have neither the time nor the energy to look into at the moment, but rest assured, it was very distressing. There's one other special note that I want to make. The top of this thing, the headline, says it's literally going to be the end of days. I want you to know, I tried to outpace the rhetoric of these people. I tried to be as exaggerated and hysterical as I could in an effort to be more exaggerated and hysterical than they are. And I failed. These people are beyond parody. Let's look at another whining, babbling infographic, this one having been posted to the Illinois Sheriff's Association page and shared over 4,500 times. And on the off chance that you want a fact-based breakdown of this whining, babbling nonsense, I'm going to direct you to this page from Zach's Strange Corners of Thought. Zach's a good guy, and he has a YouTube channel and his own website. Most of the time, Zach is talking about philosophy, but once in a blue moon, he'll decide to debunk specific claims about this and similar bills. Maybe go check him out if you think that's interesting. Like before, I want to look at the claims that this image is making. Not whether or not they are factually accurate, but the story that they are trying to tell and who they are trying to tell that story to. And immediately, we find something very interesting. The claims made in this image are much more dry and much less overblown. No, this will literally be the end of days. No, this will make murder legal. Just more or less straightforward statements about specific policies and specific actions the police can and cannot take. I need to stress, the claims here are all strictly false, and all rely on wild misinterpretations of the law, but they're not over-the-top hailing the end of humanity wrong. And it's not because the people who made the image are any more or less professional than far-right propaganda outlets. The Illinois Sheriff's Association claimed a similar bill would literally end all law enforcement. So, I think this is intended for a different audience than the hysterical goddamn fucking nonsense that we saw before. This is not hysterical enough, it is not nonsense enough, it is not goddamn fucking enough. Moreover, the drier language would be a turnoff for people looking for hysterical goddamn fucking nonsense. But I don't think this is intended for officers either, at least not in a straightforward way. Not just because it isn't addressed to officers, but also because it only talks about what officers can and cannot do for civilians. Officers wouldn't be interested in that, but civilians would be. Furthermore, this is wildly irresponsible advice to give to a police force, and we know that because their scenario for an active shooter bears a number of similarities to the failed police response to the Uvalde shooting that happened a year after this image was created. There's a contention I want to make here that may seem odd. Well, it's two contentions, not the point. This whining, babbling nonsense is intended for far-right propaganda outlets. And those far-right propaganda outlets turn it into this hysterical goddamn fucking nonsense. If you boiled down the claims in this graphic enough, if you simplified them as much as it was possible to do, you could get the claims in this graphic. And I think that is purposeful and deliberate. Interested sources make specific claims, and then biased political sources blow those claims out of proportion. Both because the dry language needs to be simplified in order to be understood by most people, and because outlandish claims very straightforwardly lead to more attention. This isn't a phenomenon unique to the far right. Leftists and liberals do it all the time too, but that's missing the forest for the trees. I'm going to say something obvious. Something so obvious that I've been stating it throughout the entire video, but something I still think needs to be said out loud. The purpose of this hysterical goddamn fucking nonsense was to create hysteria. And the purpose of this whining, babbling nonsense was also to create hysteria. That is significant because, as I said before, this image was published and created by the Illinois Sheriff's Association. They wanted the public to treat the safety law with hysterical suspicion. I'm going to choose to very kindly set aside how wildly irresponsible that is. This video is already long enough, and I've already had to re-revise it enough times. Instead of that, I want to ask why the Illinois Sheriff's Association, alongside several county prosecutors, would want people to react to this bill with hysteria. And I think I know why. I said before that the hysterical goddamn fucking nonsense image, this one, was focused on violent crime, with one exception. I also said that the babbling, whining nonsense image, this one, despite its dry language, was also mostly wrong. I found a third article that I think can square that circle. This article I found on a website called Police One describes in even drier language, even less hysterical language, what the safety law does and, vitally, what they object to. And all of the things that they object to are provisions that regulate how police behave or impose penalties for specific misbehaviors. And this message, this article, it is intended for police officers. It refers to specific equipment and specific actions that police officers do, and stresses that the penalties that they're talking about are penalties for police officers. And I know that I've said before that the factual accuracy of these claims does not matter, but in this case, it is for a very different reason. The things that they are objecting to are not things that reasonable people would object to. Body cameras should be mandatory. The use of force should be restricted. You should not be allowed to shoot someone in the back, even with a taser. And yeah, when the police break the rules, when the police break the law, they should be punished for it, just like everyone else. I would make a special note here that they object to even the formation of a special task force to study the issue of qualified immunity. Also, they for some reason share the second whining, babbling image. And I think that this article, in combination with the other things that we've seen and talked about, really drills to the bottom of the thing. It's an obvious thing, but it seems like a punch below the belt unless you see it up close. The police in the state of Illinois are doing everything in their power to make sure that there is no legal way to hold them accountable for their misconduct. They have lied to the public, they have worked with propagandist organizations, they have worked with their allies to instill a sense of fear, a sense of hysteria in the people of Illinois. The people who are supposed to uphold the law, and who have, in recent years, been shown to be a threat to the safety of the public, who have been shown to riot, injure, and kill people at a whim, and vitally, who have not seen any consequence for those things due to specific legal immunity, want to keep things that way. The Illinois Sheriff's Association, the Illinois Association for the Chiefs of Police, and their far-right allies would rather the people of Illinois, the people of the country, be panicked, be terrified, be hysterical, than have their authority questioned. The police want hysteria because that hysteria helps keep them in power. Because the threat of murder becoming legal makes people want them even more. And that is not quite all that I have to say about this. I want to do a follow-up on those weird far-right propaganda outlets, but it's all that I have to say for now. Literally finding that and looking into it over the course of 2 days led me to rewrite this entire thing. Because what even is it? What is that? I want to know, and I want you to know. In any case, you know where the likes are, you know where the comments are, leave one or both if you want to. Not because it helps with the algorithm, I have genuinely seen no proof that it does that, but because it makes me feel good. I like responding to comments. It's fun. Also, if I may implore you, please share this as widely as possible on Facebook, on Reddit, on Twitter, anywhere you think it needs to be shared. And this video is meant specifically to counter misinformation, and it came out like a year after I intended to publish it. The hysterical goddamn fucking nonsense image I showed before? Again, over 30,000 shares. We're not going to be able to counter this misinformation unless this information is widely distributed. So please, widely distribute this information. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. And hey, maybe if you have a couple of bucks that you aren't going to do anything with and you thought that this was an incredible fucking video, the likes of which have never been seen by mortal ken, maybe give me a couple dollars over on coffee. I feel like I should stress that maybe you don't need to do this. I make almost $4 an hour as a practice dummy in the Passfield golf course, and I get to take home all the sweet, delicious golf balls I can carry. If you add enough salt, they're almost edible. But alas, man cannot subsist on boiled and salted hunks of plastic and rubber forever. I worry that at some point I may have to eat real food. Or, like, pay bills. One of the two, not both. Anyway, let's see what the next video is going to be. I'm sure I had a plan for it. Choosing money is not choosing a side. Yeah, I don't think that's going to fit in a minute-long video. I wanted to start doing shorts again, but I've been so busy. So that's going to be the next one, and after that, I want to talk about people covering Trump and why it annoys me. So, until we get there, go out, do something important, and take care of yourselves, alright?
Arson is legal! Kidnapping is legal! Robbery